What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett.
This is Lance.
This is Rants or Us. Today we're going to be talking about is Bran the real villain of Game of Thrones? What do you think?
Absolutely.
I think so too. I think there was a couple of little things, little hints in the books that really kind of told that actually he was. The three-eyed raven in the books of A Song of Ice and Fire actually discusses a lot of how the three-eyed raven or the three-eyed crow in the book is actually a kind of like a supernatural villain that is bent on taking over the world. Where he kind of takes, power. Basically, yeah. What he does is he takes like these children that are kind of force sensitive, and he basically he tells them, well, if you can fly, well, you can fly. If you can't fly,
you can walk. You can walk.
You die. So, anyways, Bran comes across in the books. He comes across the children of the forest. And he finds them all attached to the tree, and to the roots of the tree and things along those lines. And he starts realizing, okay, there's something a little off about these people. But he learns it a little too late, and that's where I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, in Game of Thrones, he actually is
the Night King.
The Night King. Yeah, well, I would almost say yes. I would actually say the Night King.
There's a lot of hints throughout the show that make you feel that way too.
In Game of Thrones, I thought that was where they were actually going to go in Game of Thrones. Towards the when they were having the Battle of Winterfell, they actually had that moment where that he what is it, wargs into whatever warps,
whatever they call it,
whatever. Where he wargs into, goes into his little crows and goes and finds the Night King. I thought he was basically telling the Night King where to go. I actually thought he was the Night King.
I thought he was traveling and telling himself where to go and what to do and how to take over these things.
Basically.
And even when the Night King come and confronted Bran, he's sitting in his chair, he hesitates before killing Bran. That was what gave Arya the time to come in.
He didn't want
to kill himself.
Yeah.
Right? So it gave Arya the time to come and kill him.
It gave him, and if you really think about it, it gave him the ability for Tyrion to say, well, you had the greatest story. You're the one that had the greatest story because you're the one that defeated the undead. I mean, who on earth in Game of Thrones
Tyrion, why do you think I'm here?
Yes,
along those lines.
And he says all throughout, what is it, season 7? He's like, I don't want power. I'm not really Bran anymore. I don't desire such worldly things as power and things like that. But
then at the end, he's there to get the power.
Yeah, right? He's like,
he wants to be the king.
Yeah, he tells Tyrion, he's like, why do you think I'm here?
Yeah.
So obviously, that was his plan to begin with.
And I think that was the whole reason of him morphing into the Night King, was so that they would want him, since he's the one that defeated the Night King, he should be the one that be king.
I would almost say yes.
It was all a plan to get not the Iron Throne because it got melted.
Yeah.
But
the power. But even let's just say he's not the Night King, he was able to go back in time, according to Game of Thrones series, to go back in time and change events. Yeah. So when they have that where the Night King's creation, who's to say that he wasn't the one that started that? Right. Who's to say, and there's all these rumors and hints that maybe he was the one that caused the Targaryen king to go mad and burn everyone.
Yes, yeah.
And so I almost kind of think he probably was behind it.
Yeah, and if he's not a villain and he can time travel and change events, how come he just didn't go back and save Ned?
Yeah. Well, see, that's one thing in the series that I was like, why didn't they touch on that more? Where he's at the Tower of Joy, and he's like, he screams out his dad's name, and his dad turns around and look, and then the three-eyed raven, he's like, no, he really couldn't hear you. And Bran's like, yeah, he could. And And it was so obvious that he really could, but for some reason they
Right.
never touched on that for the rest of the series.
That's bad directing.
I think it was bad directing. I think Dan and Dave were a little bit ready to get out of there at that point. I figured they had already cashed their checks. They're ready to get off and do some
stuff already.
basically.
So they just like, let's finish this and be done.
I think they thought that they had it made. I think they thought
Well, I mean,
we could just get.
Years.
Yeah, I think really what they thought was that Game of Thrones fans will be loyal no matter what. No matter what. At this point. They'll take whatever crap we'll feed them at that point, basically.
But you can only eat crap so long before you just finally like, I'm done.
I really think if Season 6 hadn't been as bad as what it was, I really think maybe fans could have tolerated it. But it was so bad those last 2 seasons, I just do not believe, especially the way they did Tyrion.
Well, by the time we got to Season 6, I was just watching it to finish it. I'd already invested too much into it to not finish it.
That was the way I was. I wanted to see, look, I'm not as hopeful that George R.R. Martin will finish his books. So I figured this is probably about the only way we're going to find the answer to anything.
It's talking with each other.
Yeah. Well, is that in... when it comes to Game of Thrones, I mean, Game of Thrones might be all we have. We might never learn what happened in the book. George R.R. Martin's 70-something, and he's like he's been writing on one book for 8 years.
He said he was going to finish it this year, and then
years.
like a couple weeks ago he came out and said, "No, it's going to be next year."
I know, and then it'll be next year after that, next year after that, next year after that, and he won't tell people exactly how far along he is. He's just like, "Oh well, I'll finish it when I finish it." I think George R.R. Martin actually kind of has a little apathy towards the fans. I think it was all fun and games the first few books that he was writing.
I wonder if possibly Game of Thrones that we seen was the best it is, and he's kind of got some kind of writer's block because
could be, or
maybe he put everything he had into that, and now he's like, "Oh, what do I do here? What do I do now?" Like.
Could be. And I'll tell you another thing that it actually could be. Could be trying to test out some ideas. Will people really accept Bran as the one King that actually gets the iron? Yeah. And he says, well, he'll go similar in the books. But why would you write it similar to the books when you know there was such an outcry against it in the series? So this
Bran
way
was
he
not one of my top characters.
Bran was definitely he was boring in Game of Thrones. Like in the actual Game of Thrones,
like in the books.
Yeah, in the books he was actually in the books was actually one of my favorite characters.
Oh, okay.
Because I
read part of the first book, couldn't get through it.
Took me a long time to get through the first Game of Thrones book. I will admit. I was not the biggest fan. It took me a while to kind of get back into the series.
George R.R. Martin was too into what the curtains looked like. And
it's like 10 pages. All of the curtains look so beautiful and
how
wonderful.
How many candles
and
were in this room, and how many candles Tyrion needed in his room to read a book.
And I'll say once I started actually watching Game of Thrones, Tyrion was my favorite character in Game of Thrones.
Well, he was dark in the first book, as far as I got.
In the books.
Because you could hear his thoughts, and it was so dark.
He's really a really sick, twisted dude deep inside. Like, he's got some inner turmoil.
From Tywin.
A lot of it is.
The way he treated him. And
a lot of it is. And I think
being
that
so
was
dark to try to prove himself as a Lannister.
Yeah. But I kind of felt like Bran was a little bit smarter in the books, than what he was even in the series.
Definitely.
I kind of feel like in the series he was kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do on this. And in the books he kind of was like, okay, I know what I'm doing here. I know what I have to do.
He's the main villain of the story, period.
But you also have to.
I wish there's more fact to prove that, more evidence to prove that instead of just making us wonder.
But see, in the books, the White Walkers are called the Others, and there is no Night King. So there will not be a battle with the Night King at the battle of Winterfell in the books. There just won't be because there is no Night King for them to fight. So
Which is weird to me because there was so much lead up to that in the series.
And then it was like, oh, well, we're going to subvert expectations and let Arya kill him.
We just wanted you
in
to
like
think something
the easy
fun was
possible
going
way.
to happen, and we're going to make it really boring. And
Yeah.
just have it being done and over with.
That's kind of the way I always felt towards it. I was like, you know what? What are you trying to say? Are you trying to tell us that you're
You tricked us.
yeah, that you're saying, oh, well, hey, we were going to do something like really fun and interesting and something that fans would really love and be memorable for them. But no, we want to subvert your expectations, so we're going to make it suck. That's the way I felt towards
That's how I felt about the whole
Yeah.
series by the time it
Exactly.
ended. And
it. Kind of felt like Arya was, like they tried to use, well, Melisandre said that she would be killing people with brown eyes, blue eyes, and green eyes, or some junk like that. And that was the key to it.
I liked Arya
I
the
didn't.
first 3 seasons or so, but
I'm not an Arya fan.
I quickly got to where I was kind of like, now my wife loved her.
Yeah, yeah. That's you know what? I think fans love the child Arya. I don't think they enjoy the
young
adult.
woman.
Yeah. Because
I can see that.
That's kind of the way I was with Sansa. Everybody was like, oh, well, Sansa,
But
she grew so much as a character.
Let's save that for another video.
Yeah, we definitely will.
If you like the content, please like, comment, and subscribe.
Follow us on Rants or Us. All right, later, guys.